Corn rootworm is known as the billion-dollar pest, and that's because it costs growers about $1 billion annually in lost yield and control methods. But we do have several tools in the toolbox to help us manage corn rootworm. Those tools include soil-applied insecticide, traits, crop rotation. So you want to show corn rootworm something different in that multi-year approach.
There's a lot of people that are doing a great job of managing corn rootworm today, and they're using different management tactics and different approaches to that. But often it goes overlooked really as far as thinking maybe in a multi-year type of approach, and that's where we have cases that can sneak up on us in some situations. Corn rootworm is something we've dealt with year in, year out for decades now. This year, in a lot of ways, we're seeing more severe pressure than a lot of years. We had a more forgiving winter, less overwintering loss of eggs through freezing. We had a beautiful spring, in a lot of cases pretty dry soil conditions, which was really conducive to a good egg hatch, and that leads up to having a lot of feeding. That's why even if you're using a management practice, it's really important to monitor how well you're doing, and a couple ways is by digging roots and evaluating this, looking at beetle counts this time of the year and how many beetles are present or not in the field. Those are all good indicators as to how successful you were for this year.
So what we've got here is a trial where we're looking at several different control methods and putting them in a position where we can dig these roots, rate the roots, and decide how much corn rootworm pressure we're seeing. So we have corn rootworm traded hybrids like Duracade. We have competitive trait stacks, smart stacks, chrome, and then we have some soil applied insecticide trials, and we have some checks with no control methods that we look at, and we're also looking at some different seed treatment options as well. So what we have here is our check hybrid that doesn't have any corn rootworm protection. And so this is an above ground only trait stack, no insecticide, no corn rootworm traits, and you can see the large amount of feeding here. And when you look at the plant this way, you can tell that it's actually at some point lodged and it's goosenecked back up just because of the large amount of feeding on the roots here. And as we look at the plot behind us, you can see the height of the plants are shorter because they've lodged and they're goosenecked up, and they're under stress. So then this over here would be your Duracade, and this is a root that we took out earlier and washed from that field. And you can see here that this root is well protected. The plant is standing up straight and strong, and so you can see a good root protection.
Where we've seen issues typically when we get calls on corn rootworm damage, when you ask a few questions, it usually comes back to, well, they may have used a trait, but they've used the same trait consecutively for a number of years, or they may have used insecticide consecutively for a number of years, and there's no cycling through and using a multi-year approach where maybe we use one traded hybrid one year, we rotate to a different hybrid or different trait platform that may has a different mode of action just to change things up from 2 years in a row. And then maybe a third year, as you're seeing pressure come in and seeing beetles and those type of things and feeding, then that third year introduce something like a soil applied insecticide along with a trait and use it in combinations. Obviously, we all love the 50 mile per hour or a scouting technique from the road, but that's not always going to be the best. And especially with a pest like this, that a lot of times you're going to just miss what's really happening in that field. So unfortunately, getting in the field, getting boots dirty is going to be really critical component of trying to understand those fields. That's a great way to not only know what you're doing, but also start planning ahead for the following year and minimize risk of something like what we're standing in today occurring the following year.